So tonight we're going to be talking about hopefulizing rather than horrible-izing the future. And a lot of people today are kind of looking out at the future and wondering what's coming down the pike. There's so many things up in the air right now. It's really hard to know what to plan for. And so we are talking to a lot of people who are looking with some trepidation out at the future and trying to figure out what's happening. And sometimes our minds just go in a lot of different directions, right? So it's easy to kind of get on the track of imagining what's the worst possible thing that could happen out there. A lot of us feel like we don't have control over what's happening. A lot of us may be wanting to control those negative thoughts, but gosh, it is sometimes when you push against them, it seems like they just keep piling up and piling up. And all of that can be very draining and really take a hit on our energy and our immunity and all of that kind of thing. So a lot of uncertainties about what's happening in the future. If we try to peer into our future, the old crystal ball, and see what's coming down the pike, it reminded me of an experience I had with my coach a few years ago. I came in, I was talking to him, and he was asking me, well, so what are you thinking about now? And I'm telling him about what I see coming down the pike, what I see in the future, kind of what I'm planning on. And unbeknownst to me, I was really projecting a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty into what I was talking with him about. And so he stopped and he just kind of looked at me and he goes, Mark, you really like to horrible-ize the future, don't you? That was the first time I had heard that term. And I just thought, horrible-ize the future. What do you mean horrible-ize the future? And he said, well, you're looking into the future, and the future is really nothing more than what you think it's going to be, right? Because none of us has a crystal ball. We don't know what it's going to look like or what's actually going to happen. So when you're looking into the future, it's really, the future is what you think it's going to be. And if you think it's going to be horrible, then the balance between what is potentially horrible or hopeful is what comes up to the top. And as we've talked about before, research shows us that 80% of we have roughly 50 to 60,000 thoughts go through our mind every day, and 80% of those are negative thoughts. So if we're focusing those on the future, it's very easy to see how we could get thinking horrible thoughts about the future as well, because the future is what you project it to be.
And I love how on that scale you've got that it's the opposite, right? So it makes me think about what have you done there? Why is the horrible? Because it's going to the top rather than, it's not
Right.
the heavy,
Right.
horrible, light one.
Yeah, maybe, do I have that backwards?
Not if you turn upside down.
That's a good point. I have that backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you think about it.
Yeah. Think about it. So think about this the other way around. But the other thing that then I was thinking about, okay, horrible-izing. Am I really projecting a lot of horrible stuff into the future? And then Brad said to me, you know what? It could be just as likely that really great things could happen to you in the future as really horrible things. I mean, who's to say that what you think is like your ideal future, yeah, it could be worse, but what if it's better? What if it actually turns out better? And Gil just shared with us something that, to me is like something better in the future than what could have happened. The most horrible thing would be spending all that time overnight in an airport, but it's just as likely or possible that a hopeful thing, that a really positive thing could come out of that. So it really kind of got me thinking about, how do I envision the future? How do I think about what's coming ahead? And knowing that the future is nothing more than what I project it to be, and I can't really control what is coming to me. So we are sitting here in this continuum, and in our existence here currently on this planet, we're in this timeline. We're bound by time, and so we have this option of regretting the past. We can think about the past and think about the all the things that happened, and why didn't I, and why couldn't I, and shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of things. Or we can think about the horrible-ized future, and what could possibly go wrong. But really, the most powerful point for us in our lives currently is to be in the present, because the present is the only reality there is. The present is where anything that happens in the present. Anything we think, anything we do, anything that we actually accomplish only happens in the present. And that's what we can control. And that's where where things are actually real. And so that's our power, is to stay in the present. We can plan for the future, or we can find uh, learning and wisdom and experiences that come to us from the past. But when it comes down to actually accomplishing things and doing things in our lives, our power is in the present. So the trick here is to do everything we can. We talk about at least I hear, and maybe it's just because this is the world I live in a lot now, but I hear a lot of people talking about staying present and staying and quieting your mind and being mindful and all of that kind of thing. And years ago, I thought that was a little woo-woo. Is like, the Zen thing and all of that was a little out there for me. But the more I have dealt with this, it has become very, very clear to me that there is power in the present. And the reason that we want to stay present, we want to quiet the mind, we want to open ourselves to the present, is because that's where our power is. And quieting our mind means shutting out the regrets of the past, or the things that we could have done. It means quieting our mind toward what could happen or might or should happen in the future, and just staying present in the present, and allowing inspiration to come to us in that moment. We call it effortless acceptance. And what I've found that's really cool is that it takes a lot of effort to think about the future, especially and to make all the plans, and to worry, and to horrible-ize and all. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy. But quieting the mind and staying present and staying open to the input and the sensory input that can come to us in that quiet state, in that calm state, is really effortless. And then that type of input and those kinds of answers and direction can come to us in the present, and really give us the power to move forward with confidence and with calmness and with hopefulness about where we're headed in our lives.
Mark, I don't know if you're going to talk about this next, but before you go to the flip trip, just on that same thing with effortless acceptance, is
Uh-huh.
also accepting your past for what it is, not worrying about it, not regretting it, just accepting it, accept yourself. We talked about forgiveness last week, and so won't go over that again. But just the same, the effortless idea, the idea that you can let it go. You actually can, I mean, what 5-year-old doesn't know that song, right? They get it. They understand what let it go means. Let it go, right? They all get it. They all know it, because something in them understands that they can accept themselves with no effort whatsoever. And that's what we need to do with our past. And then once we can start doing that, then we can start letting go of all those, like the things that we think we're carrying, the weight of the world on our shoulders, our anger in our gut, and all the turmoil or the pain of our hearts, and just so many other things. We really can, effortlessly accept it.
Excellent. Thank you, Cynthia. So let me just share a quick experience that Cynthia and I had a few years ago. We were invited to take what's called a flip trip. And I had never done a flip trip before. I had no idea what it was. But essentially what you do is you pack up for however many days you can do this. And then you get in the car and you start driving. And at the first major intersection, like, you come to the freeway, do we go north or south? You flip a coin. And heads is north and tails is south. So we started flipping, and every major intersection or
Really fun.
where the road diverged, we flipped, and we flipped ourselves to Mesa Verde the first night. We had no idea where we were going to end up. And we had no hotel reservations. We were just flipping and driving. And so we spent a night in Mesa Verde. The next day we got up, we started flipping, and we eventually ended up down in New Mexico, in the Pueblo country. And we happened to come across this little bed and breakfast called the oh my gosh, I just drew a blank on it.
I'd help you, but I can't remember what it was. I just remember where it was. Just out in the middle of nowhere. Some beautiful pine country outside of El Paso. It was just absolutely amazing. We're like, where? Oh, something Rose was.
Yeah, Cimarron Rose. Yeah. And it was just this amazing, idyllic place that we had no idea even existed on the map. And we spent a few days there and just had this incredible time of really connecting with each other, connecting with nature, with inspiration, with all this peace and things that we've been talking about. It was a truly amazing experience. And we had no idea that we were going to end up there. So when we finished our time there, our time was up. We needed to get back home, and I remember we pulled out onto to get onto the main highway, and we looked at each other. We go, "No more flipping. We got to get home. We may end up in Texas or something." So we drove home. But the bottom line on that was we found that by using this technique, that it actually opened the space for us to stay present and to really effortlessly accept whatever came, and be grateful for it, and to really enjoy it. And so we found that it wasn't so much the place that we were in, but it was the space that we had opened up. And we opened up that opportunity for staying present, for receiving whatever it is that comes to us during that time. So I highly recommend it. I invite you to brave it sometime. It's a little nerve-wracking at first, especially if you're the kind of person who plans a vacation down to every detail. But it was life changer for us. It was pretty incredible.
Not the place, but the space. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, Cynthia, I'm going to turn it over to you on this section here.
All right. So speaking of places and not spaces, one of the things that we can do in the middle of something like that is to help us stay present. And I talk about this every single time when we're in the middle of talking about mind and mood, is in order to stay present, sometimes we have to trigger something in ourselves that helps us get there. And smells help us do that faster than anything, actually. And that's documented. I didn't make that up. And so you can actually find yourself in a new experience of energy and freedom as a result of that, because you're relying on being present only. That means anything that's bugging you from the past is not there, and you don't have anything that's happened yet that's a future. So here you are in a place of energy and freedom. Okay, Mark, next. So we talked about this before, but this is the third part of the mind and mood kit. So we're just going to go over a couple of these and why they're important and why it's going to be wonderful to be able to have these in your life. This will be available November 2nd. So get yourselves ready because all of the holiday gifts start to come up on November 2nd. Watch for them. They're going to be awesome. And one of them is for this great empowering night's rest. So you can spray your sheets with Serenity, and they also have another one you can do it with, but I'm just going to talk about this one for a minute. I love the smell of Serenity. I'm a real sandalwood fan, and it just puts me in my zen. You know, really just makes me feel so good to have that part of me. And I love juniper, Roman chamomile. I've really enjoyed having that around. And vetiver, you've heard me talk about that before and how fast it slows my mind. And it really does help with that, taking off the edge for a night's rest. And so you're going to have a little bit of empowerment, because if you can get a good night's sleep, one of the biggest problems, what is it, 60% of the people have problems with sleep. And if you can get a better night's sleep, you're going to feel more empowered for the next day and for the rest of your life too. Okay, clear mind. I love adaptive. It has just been wonderful. I wonder if you had some of that with you, Gil, when you were stuck in the airport. But I could have used some on this trip. I'll tell you, I could have really used it because I had all sorts of crazy things happen when I landed at the airport. But it turned out okay. But I know that it could have helped me to stay more present and have a clearer mind if I, because I was already tired, of course, usually for me after I travel. But this just helps you stay on your game. It's awesome. And I like that feeling. So it has the orange peel, copaiba, spearmint, magnolia. If you read the list when you're looking through the doTERRA site, some of the names don't sound like these, but they only give you the actual scientific name. And it's awesome because then you can sound like you're speaking in science. But I just wanted people to know what they were. So I went back to what the oils actually are. And interestingly enough, one of them is this formosana, but it's also a sweet gum tree, which is interesting that it has also these wonderful capabilities to clear your mind, right? To really help you be able to stay focused. And so once again, you can use it on your sheets, or somebody's pillow if they have, you really want them to have a clear mind. Go spray their pillows with it. Or maybe a place that you like to sit. You can spray it on your upholstery, or you can add it to a cleaning routine. All of those things are working for you in an aromatherapy sense, and they're really going to help keep you present. And then we have the Powerhouse Threesome, cedarwood, citrus bliss, and lavender. They're going to help you ground. All the things like the woods, they're all great for grounding. And I have found that true. I love to have cedar wood with other things. So I might put it with the citrus bliss, or I might put it with the wild orange. I just like the smell of them together somehow. It's even better to me, and probably grounds and uplifts at the same time. For a long time, citrus bliss has been a favorite in our home. And I put all the oils that are just in those 3 bottles down below so you can see. But you could consider using it in your car in a diffuser, which is awesome. You can stick a couple of drops of cedarwood, a couple of drops of lavender, and a couple of drops of citrus bliss in a diffuser in your car, and then just enjoy that. Don't go to sleep, okay? But just be calm and uplifted and ground yourself. Okay, next. All right, and I just wanted you to know all of the amazing things that are coming up, okay? Except for the last 2, and they come in December, but the rest of these are all available November 1st, 2nd. So if you want them, make sure that you're ready, because they are available that morning. And like I do, I have been so disappointed so many times. I go to push that button, they're all gone already. So, you don't have to get up at midnight, but I guess you could. But anyway, and start pushing the buttons. so that you don't get your buttons pushed. So you get all these other kinds of things, right? You can get ancient oils collection. Ooh, sounds really like mystic. And then you can get the calming mist, right? So if you don't need all of the other things, if you already got cedarwood and citrus bliss and lavender, and you already have some balm at home, well, grab some of this immediately. Wouldn't it be a great gift? I mean, I could get a gazillion of these and give it to my friends. You might be one of those friends who get them, if I can get them on November 2nd. So don't get your hopes up. You better be ready for yourself. But it's a good possibility. Got my fingers crossed. These lemon lime drops, I wonder what they have in them besides lemon and lime. I didn't really read the list on that one yet. So, you can check that one out too. So anyway, just keep that in mind. It's just next week almost. Crazy. What happened to October? I feel like this half a year, I've just been walled up somewhere. Ha ha ha. And so anyway, there you go. Next. So once we do this, we move right into this effortless acceptance of peace in the present, okay? So, all the things that we talk about, they're not from us. We learned it from the people who have made experts of their lives by learning how to use oils, by utilizing them in ways that are going to help you. And also all of the horrible-izing and hopefulness, those are all things that we learned from experts who really understand how to help us in our lives. And our hope is that we can give you those same things, that you won't spend too much time horrible-izing the future. I mean, I can think of the worst things that can happen in the future. And I can regret my past like nobody's business if I'm too tired, but or go for a piece of chocolate cake or something awful, right? Because I'm so sad about myself. But I don't have to do that. I can stay with really stay in this space, in the present of effortless acceptance, and it is the best feeling, and it's so empowering, and it's so relieving just to let all that stuff go and become empowered with peace and inspiration in your life, my life too.
Terrific. Thank you, Cynthia. As we mentioned before, these concepts are outlined in the book, The Gift in the Wound, which is available on Amazon and Kindle, and now on Audible. So if you're an Audible fan like Cynthia, who she plows through books faster than much faster than I could possibly read them, but it's all available there.
Do it on 2x, it works.
So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate sharing these ideas with you.
And we will see you next week, same